we'll talk about this outcome-based education, which is the invert these days. Because what happens is, let's say, once we talk about education, if I look at the students, how do they talk about this? The moment they are to join some course, what are the first thing they look for? Let's say in case they wanted to join a institute, what are they looking for? Yes, as he says, placement. What exactly is a placement in a education system? It's an outcome only. That means what he's keen is outcome. Now, then what is this outcome? There is his outcome is he should be able to get a placement at some good placement there. So that drives his choice for the courses. Okay, this is what the course he should go for. Let's say he wants a good placement. Will he go for, of course, I'm not naming any branch. Let's say, will he go into metallurgy engineering? No. Why he will not go for metallurgical engineering? Because the outcome or outcome which he expects from that degree will not be available to him at that particular place there. So this is one criteria which is there. Now, same way, let's say, then what he do is, he says, no, I will do in computer science only. Because that's another thing that he tries to see. Okay, I will do only computer science because his decision is based on the outcome which he is looking for. Right? Now, once we say, he says, I wanted to go computer science, I would like to do, because I want a good placement there. So these are the criteria which are there for the outcome. Now, that means in case he does this particular BTech computer science as a degree, he will get a placement in a good organization, right? That is his outcome. Now, as a individual, as a faculty member, you also looking for some outcome for your program. So this is what NBA has defined some of the outcome for various programs there. Okay, he ACT doesn't say, oh sorry, NBA doesn't say, or our body doesn't say it's for the placement. It's his outcome. But what they say is, we would like to produce a good engineers. Maybe placement is a byproduct of that, right? And then he tries to define his outcome is he should be good engineer. Another outcome is he should be able to solve the problems. He should have got an analytical skill. And he should be a good person also. That's another outcome which we expect. हमने इंजीनियर बना दिया पर वो काम ही नहीं कर रहा, वो कोई, he is not a good human being. What have we produced? So then once we talk about the outcome, there are some outcome which has been defined by our accreditation bodies only. They say, I hope some of you might have seen A to K of the outcome. How many have seen that? Okay, you're from which institutes? Polytechnic, engineering colleges? All Polytechnic, from the government polytechnics, right? Any of your institute who has gone for the accreditation? अभी तक accreditation में कुछ नहीं किया, but your government must be forcing. You're from which states? Huh? Yeah, all of you from Rajasthan only. हरियाणा से आप. Okay. तो अभी आपके स्टेट ने आपको फोर्स नहीं किया कि you go for accreditation, but time is coming. And once we say accreditation, our first thing is what will the outcome of our program there? What do you call as a program? Let's say BTech Computer Science is a program, Diploma is a program, Diploma Electrical Engineering is a program. Now, what is the outcome? Now, this outcome has been defined at the national level by the National Board of Accreditation. Okay, these are the A2, we call it A2 12 for 12 outcome which has to be there. Once those have been defined, so how do we attain the outcome? As far as student is concerned, he is clear. If I do BTech computer science, I'll get the job. Or if I do diploma in civil engineering, I'll get the job. But what exactly you are doing to make him a good engineer or a person who is able to solve the problems? उसके लिए आप क्या करते हैं?
जैसे कंप्यूटर इंजीनियर उसे लैंग्वेज सिखानी है,
उसको लैंग्वेज सिखाना है. That
उसका
means
ट्रेनिंग.
what he says is, in case you are thinking of a engineer who's a computer engineer, you wanted to make him a good computer engineer. First of all, the thing which he should be there is he should be a good programmer. That means he should have that skill of programming. Then what sort of a knowledge should be there for that? आप कौन कौन से फील्ड से है? मे बी आई गिव द एग्जाम्पल. हाँ, योर आर्किटेक्चर, योर
टेक्सटाइल डिजाइन,
टेक्सटाइल,
फ्रॉम टेक्सटाइल, सिविल.
as you're from civil. Okay, in let's say you're making the bridges, or let's say you want him to be a good bridge designer there, right? So what he should know, because for a computer you say he should be good language. अगर उसको ये करना है, अपना गुड ब्रिज डिजाइनर बनना है, what we want is
किस टाइप से लोड कैलकुलेट करना है,
Right.
कैसे आता है, किस कोड से उसकी स्पेसिफिकेशन देनी है, उसके बाद उसको डिजाइन किस तरह से करना है, किस तरह की लोडिंग,
right, उसको ये पता होना चाहिए. That means there is some knowledge you expect to him to know some skills he has to develop, and then some attitude. This is what we say the KSA of curriculum development: knowledge, skill, and attitude. Now what we do is, we since we wanted to have these 12 outcomes, what we try to do is we try to see what are the things he should go for. Then how do we decide? Then what should be the content he should be taught over there. अब content में क्या आएगा? As he says, making some calculation, making some design there. So these are some of the specifics which we are looking for. But in generic, how exactly we say okay, he should be a good civil engineer, what he should know, or a good textile engineer, what they should know. That means he should know elementary skills there. So that means what you have to do is you will identify these are the skills which are required. Okay, these are the 5 skills which are required, which has to be imparted there. Then only then the outcome will be there. He will become a good civil engineer. So up, can you think about some courses? Because this is what we say. Okay, once some program outcome is to be there, he has to be taught some courses.
The conversion languages or terms, first of all, how to introduce and understand those elements, and then we come down to the subjects, the skill-based aspects.
Yes.
Slowly, because that will be in step manner.
Right. So that means, okay, first of all, what you say is some foundation has to be made for him. What sort of foundations are there?
But we call it orientation.
Orientation, maybe some mathematical foundation, right? Whether he's a civil engineer or a computer engineer or a textile engineer, there is some mathematical foundation which has to be built into him. Then there must be some physics orientation which has to be built in him. Chemistry also. That means what we are looking for is, okay, we have to identify these are the some of the things which we wanted to have: some physics courses, some chemistry courses, some math courses. Now let's say I decide, let me give him 5 math courses in civil engineer, 4 physics courses, 3 chemistry courses. Let me teach him 8. How do you take it? Huh? नहीं. Why no?
बेसिकली चाहिए, बेसिक जैसे मैथ्स का बेसिक ही आना चाहिए.
Right.
बहुत ज्यादा
The important contents.
Yes.
The important
That means
contents.
you have to define कि for his civil engineer, for his mechanical engineer, these are the relevant things which are there. So that means while we design this particular thing, we have to see that these are relevant and these are irrelevant. So that means you have to identify what all math courses has to be taught to him. You say, okay, 2 courses of math, 1 course of physics, one course of chemistry, right? अब हम क्या करेंगे? Let's say in case I taught him this particular maths course, what will the outcome over there?
वो सब जो आगे के कोर्सेज में रिक्वायर्ड है
Okay, as you say, whatever the prerequisites there, that has to be taken care in this particular process there. Maybe the participants who are online, they can also question anything which you like to know, which we are discussing. Yes, okay, that means we have to define for each course what will the outcome, right? So how do we define the outcome? Okay, let's say I taught him what are the math courses you teach to the students? Can you name any of them? I hope all of you have seen your curriculums, right? So curriculum में what is the math course which is there?
इसको टेक्निकल नहीं किया है हमारे वाले में जरूर है बट देन दो सब्जेक्ट एक्सपर्ट्स आर टेकिंग दैट इज कैलकुलेटिव पार्ट
No, that's fine. But if I ask
What are the
you,
elements?
what is the outcome which you need from a math course, which he can use it in his, because he says it's a prerequisite, which he is to use it in the other, his own branch, let's say civil engineering
Other
or
subject.
textile engineering. Oh, what is the outcome you expect? Because this is what we say the outcome is education. Because this is,
ज्योमेट्री आनी चाहिए इंटीग्रेशन
yes, he should know integration. That means outcome is he should be able to calculate the volume over there, integrate over there,
apprehend applications
apprehend application there. That means his objective. This is what we say: a course objective, course outcome. Course objective is he is able to comprehend the things. Comprehend what you have to write. Then once you say this, he should be able for this particular course. He should be able to integrate some of the things there. Then what is the outcome we expect? Learn about the formulas of integration, applicability of integration in various areas, right? So let's say these are the two outcomes which we expect from the maths course. So like this, you have to think about what are the courses which will be there. Let's say there are 20 odd courses there. What are the type of courses you will emphasize? Because this is what we can say curriculum for the outcome based education. One, we thought of a program. Then next we thought of what should be the courses. We thought that there has to be some basic science courses which you should know. हमने identify कर लिया. He will learn two physics course, two maths course, one physics, one maths course. And corresponding each of the course, we'll try to find out what is the outcome. That means for every course, you have to define what will the outcome for this particular course there. Once we have defined that this will be the outcome, then this is one basket of courses which we thought of. What is the other basket of courses which will be there? एक तो हमने बेसिक साइंस कोर्सेज सोच लिए और कौन से कोर्सेज पढ़ाएंगे उनको
बेसिक कंप्यूटर्स भी आना चाहिए
कंप्यूटिंग आना चाहिए तो देन वील थिंक ऑफ वन कंप्यूटिंग कोर्स फॉर हिम what will the outcome he should be able to visualize the maybe textile visualize the graphics design of a orientation जो भी है वो होना चाहिए
वर्कशॉप
then there should be some workshop which is skill based course okay that means knowledge we talked about okay there is a basic science courses which should be there programming course there should be there what are other courses which should be there
entrepreneurial also
he should be entrepreneurship there should be one entrepreneurship course which should be there right there will be outcome for that also what are other courses some managerial courses there managerial economics maybe one course where all management economics can be fit in there what else
environmental
some environmental course there where in which environment he has to proceed okay. Some we talk about economic courses no? Financial economic courses there
and also presentation some
huh
physical
like
वो आगे वो personality development एक चल रहा है तो finally how he can really introduce himself or put
No, now you think of your curricula which you're designing.
obvious.
We are thinking of science courses. We are thinking of management courses. We are thinking of a finance courses, and we are thinking of we are thinking of economic courses. What are the courses which you have to taught? That means you want some soft skill courses also.
Soft skill also.
Soft skill courses, हो गया, right? So we are trying to design a curriculum which is outcome based, because now you're very clear about the outcome. Okay.
Oriented.
Yes, now you come to that. That means what another thing which we have to teach is core courses. What's a core course? Core is the basic branch in which he has to go for. Let's say some of the core courses which he has to go for. Let's say core courses is no. In case he is going for a civil engineering diploma, courses will be related to his own branch. Right? So how many courses of his own branch? Because then we have to see balance. No, one course of civil engineering will work.
Initially, in the first year.
We'll come to the design of this, will come later. I'm looking at the content. We saw science, we said humanity or management, we said economics, we said soft skills, we said computer.
Maximum courses तो फिर
उसी से आएंगे. That means we have to think about how many core courses we have to think of. Let's say we think of 5, 6, 8 courses of the core, right? So then we think about the core courses. Now then, is it the whole core I can teach to the student? This is a big question which is coming for the curriculum design. Can I think about teaching him all which is available in civil engineering?
Not possible.
Not possible. Then how do we decide? Yes, there means some courses which, in your opinion, you say they are the ones which are fundamental for civil engineering. I have to teach him. I can't teach him all the environment, all the structure, all the highway, all the courses there. Not possible. I have to think of. So that means there is a lot of thinking which has to go for a curriculum design. I have to think about how exactly I have to plan up this. Now, is it sufficient? Because you raised up a point. That means you can think about some advancement in technology for that particular student there. One course which talks about only advancements in the technology there in that particular area. But in case I'm teaching him a core, does it suffice to teach him only core courses? No. He has to, as he said, he has to taught some electrical, some mechanical, some civil engineering, or some electronics there also. Because obviously these days, most of the things are automated. If you look at civil also, there is a lot of automation which has happened. There are a lot of sensors are there. You need a sensors. We should sense there is some something coming. He should give a warning. That is purely electronics. So that means once I make him a good diploma holder, what I have to do is I have to teach him other than this also. So there is some part of electrical, some of electronics, and some of mechanical there. So this is what we say is the design of a curriculum which is outcome based. Now what we have to do is, for each of the course we have to think of what is the outcome of this course, because obviously I have to map it with the program outcome. In case I got 12 program outcomes, I have to map it with those particular outcomes there. So this is a broader perspective of a design of a outcome based curriculum there. Maybe we'll talk about something different. Okay, this is what we say. Maybe we'll start with this presentation. I gave you a brief idea about this. Okay, what exactly are the program objectives? Okay, why this sort of thing happened was, okay, the stakeholders were not that satisfied with the fresh graduates which were coming from the system there. That's why there is a lot of emphasis upon the unemployability and other things were there. So that's why people thought of, okay, let's start with the outcome based education there. Now if we have to think about test of learning. That means what the learner can do, and test of education is how the learner behaves. Okay, that means what we have to think of is, okay, the moment there is something learning which is happening there, because earlier my teaching was based on the delivering the things. Now we are based on what they learn, what will the outcome in this particular situation there. So this is what we say is the outcome based education. That means this is a basic fundamental of outcome based education which we talked about. Okay, organize education system and process around the essentials. There means you can think about number of subjects there, but what we have to think about, we have to worry about the essentials which they have to go for. That means what the students should be able to do at the end of learning. That means, let me say he learned the computer programming as a course. What, how exactly we say, okay, yes, he's learned it successfully, and what sort of competencies has been developed, designing curriculum, instruction, assessment to make it happen. So there is, okay, given a curriculum which is being taught, how exactly we say, okay, at the end of the term he's able to learn, and what sort of desired competencies are there, what sort of a curriculum should be there. So all these are related to the outcome based education fundamentals only. So this is what we say, focus on the achieving specific outcome in terms of individual learning. I have not to find out what the teacher has taught, but what exactly the student has learned in this particular process is what we are trying to work out over there. This is what we are talking about. The what I say is the outcome. What exactly is the outcome? Outcome is of the individual students. How do you measure the outcome of individual students? In case I would like to see, I taught a course. How do I find out he's learned it? Performance in the exam there. Earlier, we used to have a performance parameter, which used to be, okay, at the end of the semester, I'll take only one test, declare whether he learned it or not. That means what was happening? After I taught for the whole semester, then I got to know whether the fellow has learned it or not. And by the time all damage has been done. वो तो वो बच्चे के लिए तो सारा डैमेज हो गया ना, कि वो क्या करना था, एक सेमेस्टर तो निकल गया उसका, मुझे तो उसको तब पता लगा मेरे को कुछ आया नहीं. I have not learned anything. So this is where we have to work out. Then what is the new system came up there? The COs, we'll talk about that also. Now what came out there was, okay, we process of continuous evaluation. Continuous evaluation, comprehensive evaluation, we have to think of. Okay, can I, because these days what new education policy says is, can I test him every day what he's learned? How can I do it? Because you will say, you will laugh at me, okay, you're telling me every day you must test the student if they learned it or not. Because this is what they look for. Let's say you take up a course, you deliver 2 lectures, give them a 5 minutes quiz. Out of those 2 lectures only, 5 minutes quiz, 5 questions, let him answer, or 10 questions, let him answer. In case he is able to answer, let's say in case 80% of the students are able to answer, what will I say? I've done well. But in case 60% of the students are able to answer, what will I say? Yeah, theek hua. Then, but if you look at your quiz, you taught 2 sessions, but you realize that from the quiz, there are only 20% of the students are passing in that quiz. So what is there? So what do you call it? You have to think of a new mechanism for teaching. That means the 2 lectures which are delivered were not adequate the ones, where through which whatever evaluation mechanism I thought of, he flunk. Either I have to think about my evaluation system in a better way, or teaching in a better way. So when did I came to know about this? Not after 1 semester, but only after delivering 2 texts teaching only. तो आफ्टर डिलीवरिंग 2 टॉक्स आई गट टू नो कि उसको समझ नहीं आ रहा, तो हम क्या करते हैं, अपना टीचिंग लेवल थोड़ा सा डाउन करते हैं कि यार इसको समझ तो आए कुछ, राइट. दिस इज व्हाट दैट मीन्स आवर teaching. If you look at the shifting the focus, my teaching is shifting from teaching to learning. My earlier teaching was go to the class, deliver the call lecture there, come back. Then after one semester, I get to know usko samajh nahi aaya. Now we say we have to find out whether he's learned it or not. Then mere skills. But what we want is reasoning. You were right in saying new education policies is make him a critical thinker. Don't make him a fellow. If I teach him कि okay ये ऐसे कटेगा and he keeps on cutting it like that, that doesn't help. You have to think about कि can he reason out that. Then another is content. Instead of a content, I work him on the process. Because what is happen used to happen was you give him the content, he learns, copies, and mugs up the whole thing. That doesn't help. You have to learn, teach him what is the process of learning there. Then another is teaching instruction has been shifted to student demo. That means what we want is in a new education policy also, this is what is required. Okay, students should be able to demonstrate what exactly he's learned. Because that is how the presentation skill of the student will improve. If I tell him on this particular topic, please give a 10-minute seminar, that will do much better to him as compared to giving him a 5 hour of a teaching there. So this is what we say, focus shifting from this teaching to learning, skills to reasoning thinking, content to process, and teacher instruction to the student demo there. And then we think of a quality, continuous quality improvement in that. So this becomes a cycle. In case I give him a assignment, okay, you will make a presentation for 10 minutes. He makes a presentation. You say he's not given a good presentation. What will you do then? You will advise him, you do this way, this way, this way. Make less content. Focus on speaking, expression, speaking, and then deliver again. Maybe he'll improve. So this is what we say is the continuous quality improvement there. And then he has to do, if job is not done, he has to redesign it, redo it. Redesign, redo, and continuous quality improvement are the ones which he has to learn in this particular whole process there. So that means for this, what he has to do is determine objective of each course. Whatever courses are there, for each of the course, what will the outcome? We have to define it. Then organize this continuity and sequence there. So there is system approach to assessment. How do we approach curriculum, instruction, learning process, and continuous quality improvement there? This is the cycle which will be followed. How do I assess the students? You give him a test. Let's say in case the course is of design of the bridges, but I give him the session or an exam where I say define bridge, define this, define this. Do you feel he has learned the design of a bridge in that process? No. So that means your assessment mechanism should match with the outcomes. So this is the what we say is the process of the curriculum design there. So this is what we say outcome based education model hierarchy. You think of a vision as a mission. We think of a program education objective. What's a program education objective? In case he goes for this particular course, what sort of objective I have kept for that? And for that, we could keep a program outcome. Now, program outcome are not defined by the institutes. Program outcome are defined at the national level only. That's what I was telling others. Okay, the NBA has defined this program outcome, be it engineering, be it diploma, be it degree. For all the program they are conducting, they are defined these outcomes. Because these days, AICT is also coming up with a model curricula for a degree as well as diploma also. Okay, this is the framework. So as I was discussing with you, kid, what we discussed was the framework. 3 courses of sciences, 2 courses of humanities, 2 courses of allied engineering, 5 courses of core engineering, then electives. Because obviously, once you teach you 5 core courses, student will develop some interest. So this is what we say, course learning outcome of the subjects. For each of the course, we have to define what is the outcome of each of the students there, and then overall what sort of a learning experience he's got in the campus there. This is what we say is a model for the outcome based education. So what sort of a program education objectives are there? So we say, what will he do once he pass out after 4 or 5 years? Who designed this outcome program education objectives? Is it we as the faculty has to decide it? No. We have to think of who are the stakeholders for this. Let's say you run a program, who are the stakeholders for that particular program? कोई भी प्रोग्राम आप रन करते हैं उसके स्टेक होल्डर्स होंगे, वो कौन कौन है? Students are one of the stakeholders there. Who else? Employers. Industries are one. That means instead of the faculty, we have to find out what sort of education objective should be there for this particular program there. From the industry, that means we have to involve all the stakeholders there who will be designing about this there. Then we take the feedback. Okay, whatever objectives, education objective we have defined for the program, what sort of a feedback is there after there are 4 or 5 batches who passes? Maybe you think of an alumni survey, you think of a employer survey, graduate student feedback. That means what we do is, because this is what we say the exit survey. I hope some of you might have heard of this exit surveys. Exit surveys are the moment students are leaving the institute, at the time only, you design some questionnaire through which you take the feedback. How exactly they felt about this particular program there. कि उन्होंने ये program किया, what is their feedback about the program there? Because this is the loop which we follow once any program is to be improved. So then what I say, we have to improve the program. What exactly we have to do there? हम अगर कोई भी program improve करना चाहते हैं तो क्या करें? You have taken the feedback, then what do we do with the feedback? Consolidate करें, उसके बाद changes into what? Make some changes into the contents of the curriculum based on the feedback which we received from our stakeholders. Whosoever is our stakeholder, whatever feedback we got from there, we have to make changes according to that particular feedback there. Right? I hope now you understood what exactly is the feedback mechanism. Because one is student feedback once they're learning the course. Let's say what sort of feedback we take once one course has been taught to the students. We try to find out whether the course has been taught as per their expectations. If 70% of the students says, yeah, this faculty member taught a wonderful course, then what do you say? This faculty is fine to teach this particular course. He's got a skill, knowledge, and attitude to teach this particular course there. But in case 60% of the students says, no, this course was not well, how will you take that? Because this is another thing which is emerging very fast for our education system. How exactly we can take the feedback in a positive way from the students? Let's say, of course, I'm not telling you. Let's say your students say 70% of the students says you didn't taught the course well. So what do we do? We have to think about some remedial actions for that. So what sort of remedial actions are there?
Analyze what were the shortcomings.
Yes. In case I ask the teacher what were the shortcomings, he will say कि नहीं मैंने तो बड़ा अच्छा पढ़ाया, ये बच्चों की समझ नहीं आता, ये नालायक थे. Because this is a negative loop which we get into But what he was very right in saying, you have to analyze this, because that's what I'm saying. You have to define the confidence level. If 70%, 80% of students says course has been taught well, I take it that way only कि अच्छा पढ़ाया teacher ने. But in case 70% of the students comes and tells me in their feedback, course was not taught properly, should I believe the teacher or should I believe the students?
So there are some cases. Some courses or contents are hard to digest. Probably सिविल वाला ज़्यादा मेरे से इसको करेगा क्योंकि there are some hard subjects and children find it very hard to really cope with that because until and unless they don't practice, they will not gain the mastery. So and such cases can rise on subject basis.
So this is what we say, okay, we don't work on a one semester feedback. We have to take up a 3-year feedback, 4-year feedback for a course which is being taught by a teacher there. Let's say if for the last 4 years, he's a teacher who's teaching, every time they say that 70% of students say he didn't taught it properly, then I have to think about some other mechanism for that also. So this is what we say is the remedial measures which we have to think about. You're very right in saying one semester teacher students were bad.
Obviously.
वो नहीं पढ़े.
Then we have to find solutions.
Solution for this, not that we have to find cause analysis. So this is what we say is the feedback. So these are two feedbacks which are there, three feedback which are there. One is the course feedback. Once a course is being taught, we have to take the feedback over there. Another is exit surveys there. Exit surveys, the moment student is leaving, at that time I try to find out what exactly has been taught to you during the whole year. That's another thing which we try to find out. Then another is employer survey. मैंने तो अच्छी तरह पढ़ा के भेजा, but he didn't fit into the industry. What should I do? Because obviously that feedback is very important for me. I send a student to the industry, he didn't perform. Second year again the industry came, he took 10 more students, they also didn't perform.
Actually sir, कई बार ऐसा होता है कि इंडस्ट्री में कुछ और चल रहा होता है और हमारे कैरिकुलम में कुछ और होता है.
So that's where we have to take the feedback and try to analyze it, work out on our curricula. That's how we say we have to complete this loop. We take the feedback from industry because obviously we take a diversified industry. Then we try to find out suggestion which they have given. Can I incorporate in my curricula? Because basically what I am teaching is curricula only. That means this is a loop for which we have to complete for the curricula. Okay, this is what is to be done in this particular phase.
एकदम जल्दी से एक्सेप्ट करती है कोई नई टेक्नोलॉजी आती है, लेकिन हमारा करिकुलम 10 साल तक वही रहता है.
उसमें I'll tell you, there is very big debate which keeps on going about the engineering and technology. Technology changes very fast. Engineering doesn't change. We as a institutes, we teach engineering. Technology part, we try impart them as a skill. So this is where your curriculum should be there. You have to know what is the skill required, what is the engineering part required. Skill is you have to upgrade yourself, upgrade your skills. Let's say I'm talking about computer only. Earlier 10 years back, it was a Pascal C language which was there, right? We were teaching in our content. Now suddenly we realized these days we need a non-programming thing. Python is required. Now in case I keep on insisting, no, they has to go for C language only, system will crash. Relevancy will not be there because this is what you are talking about. Relevance of technology which is there, which we have to take care while imparting this sort of education in the system there. We teach them program methodology. We teach them functional programming, procedural programming, non-procedural programming. All these things we taught them theoretically. But as far as skill is concerned, we teach them, okay, the moment there is a Python there, I teach them Python only. So this is what we say is the feedback, which is an important component as far as systems are concerned for making the system based on the outcome only. So this is what broad discipline specific we say knowledge, skill, and the attitude which has to be work on that. So this is being defined by the your accreditation bodies or by the regulatory bodies there. Maybe I'm not going to the cognitive skills and other things which are there. We have talked about input and the processes which has to be there to achieve the outcomes over there. Yes, this is what is there. Okay, input for any courses, your faculty, curricula, lab, information, and resources. But this doesn't suffice. You have to build up the processes. Processes, teaching, learning is your process. Coursework is your process in that. Then we have got a short-term course program outcome. We say it's a A2K and others there. And POs has to be specified, satisfied by all the stakeholders there. Maybe then we have got an NBA, employers, industry, academic, student, alumni, who try to see whether all this has been attained there or not. One, I see myself whether whatever outcome I have kept in my mind while designing a curricula, are they attained or not? How do I see that? Attainment हम अपना कैसे देखते हैं? As somebody says के results. But these days people are going beyond the results also. They are going for the subject attainment also. Okay, let's say I kept 4 outcomes. मैंने क्या किया? जब टेस्ट बनाया उसमें से 4 क्वेश्चन एक आउटकम के डाल दिए, 3 उसके डाल दिए, 3 उसके डाल दिए. Now once I have to see that whether he is able to attain or not, what will I do? I will see whether all the questions, let's say I go for one question. These were related to one outcome. Then I try to see what is the performance of the student in that question there. In case 80% of the students are able to score 10 out of 10 in that question, what will I do? What will I say? That means first outcome which I kept for this particular course has been attained by to the level of 80%. दूसरा question देखा, I realized there are only 20% of the students who are able to have 100% marks in that. That means this particular attainment is not good. So I keep it as attainment as very high, medium, and low. Either I can have a high attainment or medium attainment, or I can have a low attainment. This is what we do in case of NBS. Okay, what sort of attainment you have got for the particular course over there. So this is what we say, outcome-based education is process that involves restructuring of a curricula. Whatever we were talking about the restructuring of the curriculum there. कि हमें क्या कर रहे हैं? We have to structure our curriculum in such a way that our program outcome and course outcome should be matching to the requirement of the students, to the industry, and to your alumni there. Then your assessment. Because I taught him the course very well, but he didn't assess it very well. Because obviously then you got to know your attainment. If you ask a teacher, okay, you taught this course, how did you taught this course? He say wonderful. Right? Everyone says that, yeah, maza aa gaya, ye course maine padha diya. Of course, people are not honest, sometimes they are not honest, but they say, yeah, we have taught this. You ask the students, how was the course? He says, maza nahi aaya. That is the difference. That means what attainment has been there for the teacher is a very high. Same is not true with the students. So this is where we have got your assessment issues there. How exactly we have to assess the students so that we are able to have the true feedback, what sort of a thing has been done in the course there. So, and then if what for we're doing, we are reporting the practices in education. So all this, your curriculum assessment are used for reporting the practices done in this particular education there to reflect the achievement of the high order learning. Rather, what he's learned is more important for us as compared to how much credit he's got. If your students goes to the industry by scoring 80% marks, he doesn't perform anything in the industry, what do you call it? What is the relevance of this 80%? अगर किसी स्टूडेंट के 80% मार्क्स आ गए, इंडस्ट्री में गया, ही इज नॉट डूइंग एबल टू डू एनीथिंग, ना उसको नॉलेज थी, ना स्किल था, ना उसका एटीट्यूड था काम करने का. हाउ विल यू टेक दैट?
We call it adverse because we have met our, but then relevancy with the stakeholder
Is not there. So that's what our emphasis upon the mastery and not upon the accumulation of a credit, course credits. We don't want 80%, 90% marks layer, but he should be able to perform there. Knowledge, skill, and attitude has to be developed. He should have got a positive attitude of learning. He should have got a positive attitude of learning. He should have got a good skill set to work, and he should have the lifelong learning. One of the program objective is lifelong learning, which I can't teach in a class. I have to make him to learn in the other places there. So these are the critical terms which are there, which we have talked about. A program outcome are the statement about knowledge, skill, and attitude graduate will have once he has completed the program. That means program outcome are some statements. If I would suggest, in case I will encourage you, in case you go to the NBA site, see the diploma or degree which you're doing, which you're teaching, and see what is the outcome they're expecting. For engineering program, for the diploma, they written it very clearly. Okay, these are the outcome which are there. And this is what we say profile of the graduate reaching through the POs, what sort of targets we have kept. And POs are, that's what I was mentioning, POs are defined by the accreditation agency of the country, NBA in this particular case. Because all of you are from the engineering branches, it's an NBA who defines these are the some of the criteria which should be there in this particular scenario there.
Sir, this is but at the performance level, NBA.
NBA is for the accreditation.
Accreditation.
Yes. Okay, what they say is whether your program meets the quality measurements or not. Whether you are, how do you measure? Whether whatever program outcome I have kept, you are able to attain it or not. So that means NBA, they work for the attainment of the program outcome and course outcome. कि मैंने कोर्स लिखा, I kept 4 outcomes for that particular course, whether I am able to attain that or not. So this is what they try to see, and this is how they define the quality of a program there. Of course, they are got different measures there. Somebody will talk to you about NBA also, but this is what it is, and this is what we say the starting point. This is the point where we talk about program outcome and the starting point for the program outcomes there. And course outcomes are the statement of observable student actions during a particular course. What sort of a knowledge, what sort of skill, what sort of attitude he has acquired by learning that particular course there. So every course is designed to meet the course outcome. So I hope some of you might have seen the curriculum now these days. On the bottom there is a course outcome which has been mentioned. These are to be the ones which has to be meet the course outcome there. And POs are attained through the program specific courses. All the POs, let's say in case there are 12 POs there, one PO is met by 3 courses, other PO is met by another 2 courses. Let's say he should be able to learn all those sciences there. So that means what he will do, as you say, two courses of physics, one course of chemistry, two courses of maths, five courses will make him to attain this particular outcome there. Let's say other outcome is he should be able to design the engineering problems or solve the engineering problems there. There may be three or four courses which are core engineering courses through which he learned that particular aspect there. Now, these program outcomes are knowledge and skill set that the graduate will have at the time of graduation. That means after 3 years of his degree, what is the knowledge and skill set he's got? We say is the program outcome. And course outcome, we say for each of the course what he has attained. We say is the course outcome. This is what you were talking about. COs are mapped to the POs. So this is what we say the COPO matrix which is there, which is very important as far as the curriculum is concerned. And curriculum assessment evaluation, the major tools by which program outcomes are attained. In case I have to see what sort of attainment is there, your assessment tools are there and evaluation tools are there. What sort of assessment tools you use in your evaluation? So these are needs to be designed very well. So what are the assessment tools which you are using for your courses?
Tutorial, tests.
The one is tutorials,
assessment,
tutorials, test, projects there,
projects,
seminars there,
vivas.
So these are the ones which we say are the tools through which we are evaluating the students over there. So the good tools I have got, we'll be able to evaluate them very well there. If the tools are bad, then we'll not be able to evaluate them. Let's say in case of a quiz also, or in case of a tutorial also, you keep on putting all the subjective type question. What will happen to that quiz? Oh, sorry, tutorial. Because there is always a relevance of tutorials there.
Real outcome will not.
Or the outcome will not be attained in this particular scenario there. So that's why we say these needs to be designed in a very well manner thereof. So your NBA, in NBA you have to answer this sort of a question there. Because we talked about, if you look at in our whole session, we talked about curricula, we talked about program outcomes for that, for the program which is there. Then we talked about course outcomes there. Now, once we talked about all these things, how do NBA evaluate you? That is through your self-assessment reports which you have to fill in that particular aspect there. So these are the ones. Okay, we talked about program outcome and how exactly to be attained there. So these are what we say the critical thing as far as your NBA is concerned. Maybe this is what I thought I'll discuss with you. Thank you very much. Maybe somebody from the online way, in case you got some questions.
Thank you, Professor Sanjeev Sofat ji. Now house is open for your queries, or you can share your experiences, anything you want to know regarding this, because this is very important for this outcome based education, that how we prepare our curriculum, or anybody from the
Because we were discussing a lot of things with them.
Okay, so anyone from any nodal center or anyone else?
Yeah.
Sir, sir was asking about a particular difficulty of the course. For example, strength of material. Generally, students do have so many subjects. Theory of machines do have so many. APR or engineering mechanics students do have so many APR or reassessments. For example, we have taken the feedback from the students, and 70% of the say that the sir was saying that I have done so well, but students were saying other way around, right, sir? So we have taken the first year assessment. We can identify that might the teacher cannot be able to put forward their concept. So in the second year, we try to change the teacher. For example, in the second year, someone else is going to teach the course. Again, we taken the assessment. Sorry, we have taken the feedback. Again, the feedback was wrong. Again, in the third year, again we have taken the third teacher. Again, the feedback was wrong. So after the 3 years of feedback, and we know very well that for a mechanical students, strength of machine is the very, I would say that the core of the part, right, sir? So after 3 years, the course feedback is very poor, right, sir? So, and we know very well that as an academician, we cannot remove that course. So how we are going to proceed with that?
One is academicians, of course, they have to keep their mind open in case there is some course there which continuously the feedback is coming poor. You have to think of, is the content sufficient, more than required? Because this is what happens. Let's say what we try to do is we try to compress 2 semester course into 1 semester only. It becomes a difficulty. Another is, in case there is one course which is a tough course, you can keep the attainment level lower. Let's say in case I am feel 60% of the students are able to score more than 60% of marks, we should be able to accept that. So that's one is, it's not necessary for every course attainment level should be same. It can be varying for the various courses there. One is you have to think about content there. Is it content which are there more than required in that particular course? This is what is to be seen. And another is what sort of attainment level we have kept for that particular course there. Light, yeah. That's how you do plan. In case 70-80% of students are not able to get through that particular course, that means there is something wrong with my content there. Yes.
सर ये रिक्वेस्ट है, हमें ये थोड़ा सा
स्लाइड्स आपको मिल जाएंगे
चाहिए सर। दूसरा एक चीज मैं ये पूछ रहा था
जी
कॉमन,
प्लीज
आई एम हेड
ओके
clients we have a meeting regarding this NBA process and SAR process, और मुझे वो लगता है कि वो मुंह मीठा करने का एक रस्म होता है। ये करना है, इतने दिन में करना है, ऊपर से तलवार लटकी। आप मेरी बात समझ रहे हो?
नहीं, आई एग्री विद यू।
आप ऊपर से करना चाहते हो और नीचे वाले हमसे करवाना चाहते हैं, पर एक्चुअली वी कैन नॉट मीट।
I'll tell you.
I'm from architecture, so I'll tell you, our parameter is number of staff to deal with, infrastructure element, is it available or not, and machinery part, whether this supports us for this process. Because preparing a project and submitting it, it will again die down.
Sir, this is two things. One is the process which we talked about. Another is a basic thing which we talked about.
Obviously.
Faculty should be there, infrastructure should be there. That doesn't suffice. Then your processes has to be built up according on top of that. So what NBA says is, I have to see your processes.
Sorry, बोलते हुए अगर off record है तब मैं बात।
नहीं ऑन रिकॉर्ड भी हो सकता है इससे।
मेरे साथ क्या हुआ कि actually I got some other departmental staff over there. Now every time I try to put in that yes we want architects, but that could not be. तो किसी स्टाफ ने मेरे से ये कहा सर ये विषय मैं नहीं पढ़ा सकती। तो सर then I had to become a layman. I said for a degree course in architecture,
you might have gone through this
5
course.
years is something that if you put in, you are an architect for me. When should I confer this degree on you?
Yeah.
From next day, you have to start teaching these subjects. Because if I don't get a layman, then the same problem that you are talking about, SAR, CO, and PO, everything fails.
Mm-hmm. Because this is a process. In case I'll tell you, in case I don't have got the resources, I can't think of a good processes over there. Because this, let's say, in case I don't have got teachers there, I can't think of a process. In case I don't have got infrastructure there, I can't think of processes. But
I
myself
have tried that. I took innumerable number of subjects.
That will not help.
Causes a big hamper.
Mm-hmm.
Students are not able to gain because they will look at your face and will say, "What is going to speak out?" And then the ideal aspect of attaining fails. और सर ने एक बात कही आपको मैं बता रहा था, सर ने कहा एक टर्म का नहीं लेना, और टीचर पर विश्वास भी नहीं देता नहीं, सर ने बच करके दोनों तरफ से अपने को उठा रहे। सर कह रहे कि 3 साल का प्रोसेस इम्प्रूव करने का
ट्राई करो ना, देन यू से कि हाँ टीचर्स बैड मोर एनिमी, बिकॉज लेट्स से दैट्स व्हाट आई एम सेइंग कि एक साल उन्होंने पढ़ाया, अगले साल उसको एडवाइस करके बोलो पढ़ाएगा, देन अगले साल फिर बोलो पढ़ाएगा।
सर रिक्वेस्ट करके आप चेंज ला सकते हो।
हाँ, अदरवाइज नहीं।
ये कह दिया कि मुझे तेरी परफॉर्मेंस तो वो उठा के कहेगा तू पढ़ा दे।
नहीं, वो अगले 2 कोर्स में परफॉर्मेंस नहीं देगा।
सर आप हम लोगों से बहुत आगे निकल गए।
अरे नहीं सर,
इसलिए क्या है कि आप ये जो आइडियल एस्पेक्ट बात कर रहे हो ना,
नहीं
ये
इसमें
कोई सुनने को राजी नहीं है।
नहीं ये ठीक है सर,
But-
पर लेकिन जो प्रोसेस है आपको ये तो हमें मतलब
समझ
इन्होंने
में
शेयर करा है,
share किया
समझना
है।
चाहिए। सूनर और लेटर वी विल
सर,
हैव
मैं
टू
पहली
फॉलो इट।
बार इस चीज को इतने शांति से सुन करके पहली बार समझा है, पर मैं ये जानता हूँ दिस इज अ हरक्यूलियन टास्क।
I know, I'm not saying it's a very easy task
It is not
because
a
it's
overnight process.
it's a paradigm shift which is happening, but it is always
But
slow.
then this is elemental.
This
मैं खुद
is-
कह रहा हूँ,
This has to be
आज-
done.
आज सर मैं अपनी बच्ची को आयरलैंड भेजा हूँ डेटा साइंस मास्टर्स।
हाँ,
रीजन क्या है मैं बहुत अच्छे से जानता हूँ। I myself put a question that if I'm not performing, I don't answer that others will also perform in India in a similar manner. वहाँ तो प्लागरिज्म या कुछ ऐसे
Plagiarism.
बोलते हो, वहाँ कहते हैं जा करके आप टीचर से पूछ नहीं सकते हो तूने अभय सिंह को इतना मार्क्स क्यों दिया, तूने मेरे को कम क्यों दिया, कहते तुरंत कोर्स से निकाल देते हैं। वहाँ आइडिया चलता है, यहाँ तो लट चलता है।
कोर्स से किसी करिकुलम के डिजाइन तो कितना समय लगेगा एग्जीक्यूट करने के लिए कि वो कोर्स आउटकम सही है या नहीं?
if let's say somebody has designed a course, how much time it will take, whether course outcome which is designed are reasonable or not, is a process. Let's say you follow this particular thing for 2 to 3 years. That's what we say 2 cycle or 3 cycle there. Then you try to analyze it, not in one.
That's पकने का प्रोसेस कंप्लीट
हाँ, ये नहीं एक ही बार में कर देंगे आप। हाँ, ये टीचर निकाल दिया कि ये तो काम ही नहीं कर रहा। A curriculum has got a 2-year cycle there.